All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Green White Checkered TV. Tonight we've got the Area 51 Racing League 87 Cup Series. Tonight here, 75 laps at Auto Club Speedway. And so we'll pull up, you see our point standings going into the race. James Ledford leading the way by 48 points over the second place of Dwight Plesh. So unfortunately, Dwight doesn't look like he's going to be able to make it this evening. Say with that hurricane that went through the southeast area. So Dwight, I believe, probably doesn't have any power. So hopefully he's staying safe and saying definitely thinking about all of those that are having to kind of deal with everything going out there. Hopefully everybody's trying to stay safe as best they can and be able to recover and kind of rebuild as much as needed in a quick amount of time. Let's say the remainder of the top five, we've got Chad Wilkes in third, Todd Merkel fifth, and Michael Spell rounds out our top five. Then 6th through 10th, you've got Eric Schaus, Joshua Sichterman, Robbie Richards, Kenny Kolakowski, and Jim Brooks. So tonight is we got after time will be 2 races remaining. So we'll see how everybody is gonna fare with these last couple of races. But say James Ledford though, that 48-point lead, that's gonna be pretty tough. I feel like to be able to compete against. So I think if you're that 48 machine, you're probably feeling pretty comfortable about things where your standings are. Especially it looks like it's going to be a little bit of a short field again this evening. Looks like about 10 or 11 cars, I believe. So right now letting everybody finish up their qualifying laps, and then once that is complete, we will go through our starting grid. Alright, so tonight's grid for the race this evening, on the pole position at 17 of Chad Wilkes by just over 3/10 of a second over the number 11 of Quabi Brooks. We've got Todd Merkel in third, Michael Spell fourth, James Ledford is going to round out our top five. Sixth, right there you see Ted Decker Jr., Mitchell Wilkes in the 71, Art Peck in eighth. And then you got Robbie Richards, Jim Brooks, and Mike Morrison in the 11th position. So as you can see, Field's taking the grid here. Everybody's getting joined in and serve, and then we'll get things underway. Scheduled distance of 75 laps for tonight's race. Say fuel window, I think they could stretch it on a one-stopper if they choose to. However, it's going to be pretty rough on the tires from what I understood from some of the drivers during practice. So we'll see if the decision goes to maybe being a one-stopper or a two-stopper strategy for some of these guys. Of course, that's all pending going green, so we'll have to wait and see on that front. So say we're going to get things going in just a moment. So again, I want to thank you all for joining us. And yeah, so you see the car starting to move, so we're going to wait for that pace car to get going, and then we will get things underway here. Alright, so you see the pace car coming around turn 3 and 4 is going to duck off onto the pit road. It's going to put into the hands of our front row, the 17 of Chad Wilkes, 11 of Quabi Brooks. Say initial green, we will go on the flag, and then after that the leader has control of when he wants to restart, so wait for that green flag to fly. And we are underway here tonight at Auto Club Speedway. Again, scheduled 75 laps is the distance for the race this evening. So we'll see how these drivers are able to fare with this 2 mile oval. I'll say right now a good start for Chad Wilkes. You see Quabi Brooks pretty high there in the 11 machine. So he's going to get passed there by the 81 of Todd Merkel right off the bat, and he's now up under attack from the 48 of James Ledford as they go down the backstretch for the first time. Looks like lap number 1 is going to go to that 17 of Chad Wilkes. He'll lead that first lap this time around. But you can see, though, that 81 of Todd Merkel not too far behind. And say also Robbie Richards making a quick charge here. Started actually 9th position in that number 12 machine, already up into that 3rd spot. So really good start for Robbie here to get things kicked off for his start of the race. So making quick work with some of these guys. And again, I think there's going to be some kind of a mix between some of the comers and goers here. Some drivers probably going to try to take it real easy in their tires early on, and then you have others that might just try to get the track position early and then take it easy from there. See, they complete another lap there right now. You can see that the gap between the two leaders is just about half a second between Chad and Todd here. And say that's another half a second or so to that 3rd place, as we mentioned, of Robbie Richards. And say right now we've got a pretty good battle right now for that 4th position between that 11 and the 48. Again, our points leader is that number 48 of James Ledford with a 48 points lead over Dwight Plesh, who unfortunately could not make the race this evening. So that lead is definitely going to grow over that number 44 of Dwight Plesh. But we'll see, though, if anybody else is able to close that gap a little bit. But again, like I mentioned, I think points are looking pretty good if you're that number 48 machine here so far. See the number 11, Quabi Brooks, able to grab that 3rd spot, or sorry, grab the 4th spot back from James Ledford. So go back down the backstretch. It looks like everybody's pretty much staggered out. I see the 76 of Jim Brooks actually a little bit off the, or actually a fair bit, I should say, off the pack here. So you're going to take a look and see if there's any damage to the car. Maybe just a little bit of maybe some big tire fuel saving strategy, something along those lines. Because the car, yeah, car looks clean. So maybe had a little bit of a moment, but you can see he's about 5 seconds off the pack. But right now you can see the top 3 are starting to sneak away a little bit here. Todd Merkel definitely keeping all over the back bumper of that the 81 keeping it all over the back bumper of the 17. Robbie Richards is joining in that mix as well, while they've got over about a 1.5 second lead over that 11 of Quabi Brooks in that 3rd position. You can see it looks like Todd's going to get a run down the back. We'll see if he's able to make the move into 3. He's got the run on the entry now. Can he complete the exit, or is that 17 going to maybe get an over or under on him? But looks like Todd's going to hang on to that spot, so give the lead now to that 81 of Todd Merkel coming off of turn number 4. As I say that, actually, we've got a caution right after that happened. Oh, it looks like we've got the 3 of Michael Spell and the 36 of Art Peck. Looks like they had contact with possibly one another. Let's go see what happened to bring out this yellow. Alright, see a little group of cars. You got Ted Decker Jr. in the 79, the 36 there of Art Peck, the 3 of Michael Spell, and also the 66 of Mike Morrison. And looks like 36 washed up a little bit while the 3 was coming down a little bit as well. And then from there, just Michael just got loose and nothing he could do. You can see the 66 Mike Morrison makes a good move there to get to the top and avoid that incident. While the 36 and the 88 have, or sorry, 36 and 3 just have a little bit of a spin, nothing too bad actually. and it looks like they'll be able to grab a gear and keep on going. So that's going to be our first caution of the evening, and I would bear to say we're going to see all the leaders in, and sure enough, here they all come hitting the pits now. Say leading the way is going to be that 81 of Todd Merkel, so we'll keep an eye on him. And say we'll see if there's any pit strategy here. Again, those 4 tires is a long stop with these cars, about 20 seconds, so they definitely won't need that much fuel. We'll see if we see any strategy here with either 2 tires or fuel only. With a bit of a shorter field, I don't think we'll see too much strategy at this point in the race. And it looks like we do have a couple takers, actually. When it's all said and done, looks like that 11 of Quabi Brooks, he went with 2 tires on that number 11 machine, as well as that number 3 of Michael Spell. He went with 2 tires as well, so they're going to restart 1-2 here. And it looks like the 3rd position went to Todd Merkel in the 81, Chad Wilkes in 4th. So yeah, so say there is definitely some pit strategy there for what these drivers, what they wanted to do. So we'll see if that comes into play or not. I'd say that could definitely see how it affects the car's handling. Again, it was a pretty short run there. I'd say we're only on lap number 7 here, so still a long ways to go. So I'd say tire wear probably not too critical. And I'd say it's also possible as well that those right side tires might loosen the car up a little bit and help that drive just that little bit better. So we'll wait and see. Let's see if anybody tops off. I don't think it'll make too much of a difference. I think everybody can make it here on one more stop. Again, it's just kind of that mixed decision and how far you want to go on your fuel, because right now they're going to get the 1 to go this time around at 68 to go. So say if we split 67 laps in half, that's going to be around 34 laps into the run. So I think it's definitely doable on fuel. It's just going to be all about those tires. Alright, leaders coming through 3 and 4. Pace car's going to duck in. And remember now, the leader has control of the start, so that number 11 of Quabi Brooks, once that pace car gets off the racing surface, it's in his hands to jump whenever he's ready. And those guys behind him have to be ready to react, so we'll see as the pace car is in. Now just wait for that 11 to drop the hammer. He is away. And say not a huge jump from that 11 car. You can see he's got a couple of car lengths though on that 2nd and 3rd drivers there of Todd Merkel and Michael Spell. So you're able to get a little bit of a buffer, but again, I don't think he's going to be getting too far away here early on. And this will also be a good tell to see how these 2 tires versus 4 react, to see if those 2 maybe help that car. If they can first run well in the short run and see how they hang on that long run as well. Riding on board that number 11 of Quabi Brooks, watching him go down the front stretch. You can see again that 81 Todd Merkel was our leader there before the caution came out, so Todd's going to try to definitely get that spot back. I think he wants to control this race if he can. I say obviously they're both going to be having their hands full, probably not too long with that 17 of Chad Wilkes as well. I'll say Chad pretty much is, if he's been in the race, he's been in contention for the win. I believe he's won all but one of the races that he's been able to contend in. So I'll say he's done well in those ones. I'll say just consistency has been really the key for James Ledford, as well as getting a handful of pretty big wins for himself as well. So we'll kind of just wait and see as this run progresses. But right now, though, so far in the short run, that 11 is doing pretty well on these 2 tires. So might be something to keep in the back of the mind for some of these leaders if we get a late race restart or something like that, where if they want to try to get some track position, that could definitely come into play here. We got a good battle there for a second between that 17 and the 81 as they go through the backstretch. So it looks like right now they are side by side as they go down the back. Right now, just an edge ahead for that 17, but so we'll see as they enter turn number 3. So I think Chad's going to have the spot that he needs to be in to get the pass, but we'll see if he's able to get the power back down. So it looks like Todd Merkel trying to get back to his outside, gets tight up against the wall, keeps it off of it, but it looks like it may have cost him just a little bit of time there. But yeah, so right now, though, that race leader still Quabi Brooks leading the way, but Chad Wilkes now up into second. You see Michael Spell trying to follow that 17 along for the 3rd position. And here comes that 12, Robbie Richards, going to send it in deep into turn 1, right on the white line. Has to make sure he doesn't get loose on the exit. Looks like he just hangs on to it there. So a good battle here for that 3rd position between that 12, the 81, and the 3. But looks like the 3 and the 81 are going to hold those positions as they go down into turn number 3. So now Todd's going to try to work his way back around that number 3 of Michael Spell, try to grab that 3rd spot back. Again, Michael's on 2 tires along with that 11 of Quabi Brooks. So so far, I say again, it was a pretty short run there. So I mean, I would definitely say that so far, mission accomplished. It looks like those 2 tires are definitely working. As you saw, a big slide there. I'm not sure there's a lockup or connection issue from that 48 of James Ledford. The car looks to be in good shape, so maybe just been a connection hiccup there. And yeah, so you can see that 81 Todd Merkel now back up into that 3rd position. But man, Robbie Richards is sending it deep there into turn number 3. He's going to clear that number 3 of Michael Spell. That'll move Robbie now back up into the 4th position. Move Michael Spell back into the outs, just right in the top 5 here. So we're going to watch from the gearbox of that number 12 machine, or from the 81 machine, watching number 12, see if he sends it deep like he did that last time. And yeah, so you can see how aggressive Robbie's being on the entry there to 3, or to 1 and 3 there. As he actually just gets to the outside of that number 81 here, so he's going to have some momentum on the top side and a little bit of draft from the 17. So we'll see if he's able to do anything with it here entering turn number 3. Pretty even for the 2 of them at the line. Looks like right now Todd Merkel's still just barely hanging on to it. But again, though, that 12 is definitely pretty aggressive on the brakes, and he's able to really make a lot of time on the entry. He's just got to be careful that he's not burning up those tires too much when he's doing this driving here so far early on in this run. Hop on board with that number 12 of Robbie Richards. We watch him go through 3 and 4 again, trying to see if he can find a way to get around that number 81 machine. So he still can't quite get there. So you can see he gets right to the bumper, just not where he needs to be at this point. But say definitely in contention here. And going to make life difficult, I feel like, for that number 81 right now. So I'll hop on board on the roof of the number 12 of Robbie Richards as they go down the backstretch. So the other thing is these tires start wearing, it's kind of an odd feeling, but these cars kind of wander actually down the straightaway. So it's actually difficult to keep them driving straight down the backstretch. They'll kind of want to move left and right. And so it's almost probably a little bit harder to drive these things through the turns than it is, or through the straights than it is in the turns. So keep an eye on that as well. But right now, the 2nd through 4th right now is a pretty good battle. You can see them all right here grouped together. Say Quabi Brooks sneaking away just a little bit, about a 1.4 second lead over that 17 of Chad Wilkes. So again, I'll say we'll have to see how aggressive is that 11 driving compared to the 17 here early on. Oh, as you can see, Robbie gets loose off of 2, saves it. So actually didn't cost him too much time either. You can see he's still right in the mix with those 2 in front of him. I'll say we'll move through the field here a little bit as we've been focusing on these guys. Say right now, right behind them in 5th is our points leader, James Ledford. He's been able to get around that number 3 of Michael Spell. And then closing the gap is that number 79 of Ted Decker Jr. Say Ted started in 6th, currently running 7th, so he's right towards where he began the race. Say in a pretty good position here as well, right in the mix here with this group to say now putting a lot of pressure on that number 3. Behind Ted is the 66 of Mike Morrison. Say Mike right now just a little bit off the draft here. I'd say just about a second back, but again, definitely can close that gap. Might be saving his tires here early on, so I don't think they're probably too worried about that as of yet. And then you got that 76 of Jim Brooks right behind him. Say Jim right now in that 9th position, and right now that last car in the lead lap is that 36 of Art Peck. Say he was unfortunately involved in that earlier incident between himself and the 3. Both cars though still going and in pretty good shape as well. So however, looks like we still got a really good battle here going on. Oh, actually you see Chad Wilkes dropped a few spots now. So trying to take a look. Looks like the car is in good shape still, but definitely ran a slower lap there that last time by. About a second off the group in front. I wonder if he's just going for kind of some tire savings here and make a charge as they go down the run. So what we're going to try here is I'm going to change our ticker. So we're going to change the ticker to, you'll see now it says on the ticker, it's not showing the intervals, it's showing their last lap times. So we'll say we're going to see what the leaders' lap times are this time around, starting with that number 11, of course, of Quabi Brooks. So as they cross the line, that number 11 machine ran a 45.1. But you can see there Todd Merkel 44.6, so half a second quicker for Todd there, and about 2/10 quicker than Robbie. So you can see that that second group is definitely starting to close the gap a little bit that last time by on that number 11. So we'll see if that trend continues here as this run progresses. So so we'll kind of switch around these a little bit here and there, try to keep an eye on things. But yeah, so try to look at learn and see some of the new features that are available to us here with this. So it looks like one of the drivers on the move right now is that 48 of James Ledford. He is all over the back of Robbie Richards in that 12. James looking to try to get into that top 3 right now as he comes out of turn number 2. And so you can see the wiggling going on down the backstretch. Again, these cars are not going to want to stay pointed in a straight line. They definitely wobble around here. So we are on lap number 21. We have 55 to go. Will be 54 to go at the line. So they've gone about 15 laps on this fuel run as well. So again, we'll say they're going to still have a ways to go before if they want to split this run in half, which I think is going to be the strategy. I feel like for these drivers is to split the run in half. So we'll keep an eye on that. But right now, though, you can see everybody's in pretty good gap between each other. Again, right now, race leader, that 11 of Quabi Brooks, that lead is right at about a second or so. It looks like Todd's been gaining about a 10th or so a lap these last few laps. He obviously had that one that a few laps ago was about half a second quicker, but that's leveled off a little bit now. It seems to be about a 10th or so per lap. But again, those 2 tires on that 11 are definitely holding strong here so far in this run, as we mentioned. Already 11 laps into the run. Okay, got a really good battle here from 2nd through 5th with that the 81 of Todd Merkel, 12 Robbie Richards, 48 of James Ledford, and the 17 of Chad Wilkes. I'm keeping an eye on Chad. I feel like he might be just going full tire save right now. And he's going to really, I think, make a charge once these tires start wearing out. I think he might be feeling these guys might be abusing their stuff a little more. As I say that, you see the 12 gets tight off of 2, keeps it under control. That's going to cost him a lot of momentum. And here comes that 48 of James Ledford, going to try to grab the spot, and does through the backstretch, and then now into turn number 3. But you can just see how deep that 12 gets onto the brakes. So he gets the entry is really strong. It looks like he's going to hold the momentum as well through the exit. So again, I think James is just going to hang on to the spot, but Robbie definitely quick here, especially on the entry of the turn. But you can see, though, he's got a lot of pressure from behind, or from the inside, I should say, now from the 17 of Chad Wilkes. And it looks like Chad's going to grab that spot back. So move Chad now up into 4th, Robbie back into that 5th position. Saying not too far behind still is that number 3 of Michael Spell. You can see him right in the background. So yeah, so again, they can't mess around too much because that's going to be another spot here up for grabs if they're not too careful. Watching through 3 and 4. So it looks like, again, that gap still holding steady at about that second gap or so. Looks like Todd Merkel, though, was actually 0.2 of a second quicker that last time by. Chad Wilkes, James Ledford are about a tenth quicker than Todd as well. So looks like the field's starting to close the gap to each other. Oh, you see James there gets high in 1 and 2. That's going to open the door there for Chad. Chad's going to grab that 3rd spot, and then Robbie's not going to waste any time. He's going to grab the 4th spot as well. So you can move Robbie Richards now up back into 4th and move that 48 back into that 5th position here. See a little further back, that 76 of Jim Brooks just got around that 79 of Ted Decker Jr. Now trying to work over that 66 of Mike Morrison. This is 7th, 8th, and 9th right here on track. Saying they've kind of lost the lead group by just about 2 to 3 seconds at the moment. So we'll see as they come through 3 and 4 if that 76 is able to clear. It looks like he just is going to get it done. So we'll move Jim now up into that 7th position for the moment because Ted Decker Jr. got a good exit there off of 4. But it looks like Jim's going to hang on to that spot. So move the 76 up into 7th. Now you got that battle for 8th right behind him with that 79 and the 66 as they go into turn 1. Oh, you see 79 washed up a little bit. Mike had to react a little bit, pushed up to make sure they didn't have any contact. So that is going to give that 79 that position here. Again, you see the gap still slowly shrinking as you watch that the gap there, about 0.7 of a second between the 81 and the 11. But again, right now, 2nd through 6 here is definitely really tight. They're all lined up together, and it's actually probably helping that group's speed just with them drafting like they are, because these cars, again, they are really quick down the straights. They don't handle well right now. Looks like quartering speed, they dropped to about 150 miles an hour. I'm going to try to give you some insight as to how fast they go in entering the turns. Let's just see how much they have to scrub off the speed as they enter the turn. So I'm watching Robbie Richards right now. It looks like he got up to about 180 there entering turn number 3. Again, has to back it down to 147 there. And we'll see as they should be that much quicker entering turns 1 and 2 through the trial here. So we'll watch as they come through. You see Chad Wilkes working on getting underneath the 81 of Todd Merkel for the 2nd position. And yeah, I'm watching. Actually, Robbie's lifting here. He was in the 180s wall coasting there, giving some room between the 17 and the 81. So I'm going to say they can probably get up into about the 190s or so when they are actually at full song. They're entering turn number 1. Yeah, sure enough, there Chad was about 0.4 of a second quicker than Quabi Brooks there that last time by. So looks like that gap is definitely starting to shrink. But again, though, I mean, this is 23 laps into the run. So again, I don't think the 17 showed his full hand until possibly now. Might be starting to try to kind of put his stamp of authority on this race. So we'll see as this race continues on, see how he's able to do. So I'm also going to watch the speed of that number 17 as he enters turn number 1. And yeah, sure enough, just about gets to 190 there entering the turn before he has to slow it down. And of course, that's 25 laps into this run. So they're definitely lifting earlier here to make sure they can make these turns. But as you can see, though, Chad is there There's no gap between the two of them here now through 1 and 2 down the backstretch. So then we're going to see a battle for the lead here very shortly. Riding on board with that number 11 of Quabi Brooks, and you can see a mirror full of a 17 of Chad Wilkes. Chad's going to jump to the inside, entering turn number 1. So it doesn't look like Quabi's going to fight it too hard. So again, I think he knows he's a little bit kind of outclassed, if you will, on the tire strategies here. Knows that the 17's got 4 fresh ones versus his 2 right side tires. So he's going to let him go, and he actually does a really good job there, falling right back into line. He gets right back onto the rear bumper here of that 17, entering turn number 3. And you see Robbie Richards as well getting around the 81 of Todd Merkel for the 3rd position. So now it's just going to be Ken, that's 11, hold onto 17, use the draft here as you see. Oh, Robbie gets tight off of 4, able to hang on to it though. So right now, let's say that put the 17 Chad Wilkes now back to lead. Quabi Brooks to 2nd, then Robbie Richards up to 3rd, and then Todd Merkel 4th. But I don't think Todd's done yet. I think he's going to try to see if he can get that spot back. You see Quabi misses the low line there, entering turn 1 and 2. And so you can see how much time that cost him there just from that little mistake. And saying that's just, again, that's how much you have to hit your marks here at this track. But right now, again, we talked about that 2nd place being the kind of the battle. As you can see, Robbie sends it deep into 3. Again, he can get it to stick there, though. And you can see the 17's washing up a little bit with those older tires. So Robbie just clears that 11 car, so move Robbie Richards up into 2nd. And it looks like, I believe, Todd Merkel's going to try to follow through for that 3rd spot here. And you can see he's got a little bit of a train behind him, too. You've got that 3 of Michael Spell and the 48 of James Ledford right behind as well here. So I think the goal is going to be now for that 12 and the 81 is to try to keep touch with that 17 of Chad Wilkes. Again, as they use the draft to its full advantage, these cars, again, do poke a really big hole in the air. So if you can use that draft to your advantage, let's say they'll definitely keep you in the race here. As you can see, it looks like Quabi's slotted in right now in that 5th position behind Michael Spell, right in front of our points leader, James Ledford. But you can see everybody's kind of got a pretty even gap between all of them right now, about a 1.5 between 1st to 6th. So yeah, they're all still right here, all in contention with each other. We're on lap 34 of 75, 42 to go. I'm saying they're on lap 28 of this run. So again, if they can go about, say math's never my strong suit, but say if they can go about, what, 6 to 8 more laps, I think that's going to split that run in half here where they could then pit and then make it to the end. So we'll see if that's going to be the strategy or if anybody's going to maybe try short pitting once they're in the window, or even maybe try to pit later, take the hit on tires now, but then have fresher tires. Oh, as you see, this 11 gets tight off of 4, keeps it off the wall though. But yeah, say if someone maybe does a late pit here as well, opens up the opportunity potentially for having, for maybe having some fresher tires towards the end of the race. So the other thing worth mentioning is that number 3, Michael Spell, he also took 2 tires on that stop along with the 11 of Quabi Brooks. So Michael fell back a little bit early, but he's really starting to charge back up front to these guys. I'll say holding easily in that 4th position. You see the 11 falling off a little bit. So I'm wondering if maybe Michael saved his stuff there early on in the run and dropping back a little bit, whereas maybe Quabi was being a little bit too aggressive, and that might be why he's falling back now with that number 11 machine. So you see a little bit of strategies, but up front, though, we've got a good battle for the lead between that 17 and the 12 here entering turn 1. Chad's able to hold Robbie at bay this time around. Again, say if you're Chad, though, you have to be careful because that 12 does have some pretty fast entering speed. I say that's definitely something you'll have to keep an eye on to make sure that that 17 doesn't dive underneath you entering the turn. You can see Robbie's looking, oh, he's right at the quarter panel, almost contact between the two of them. But you can see that's exactly what we just mentioned there, just how deep that 12 can send it entering the turn. So say we'll see how it looks like Chad's able to get a slightly better exit, and you can see that's brought Todd Merkel right up into the mix here as well. So say now that 12 is trying to figure out where he needs to go to position himself not to lose a position. So I say definitely business picking up front here as we have 39 to go, and I just see the 66 of Mike Morrison. He's hitting the pits now on lap number 30. So we'll keep an eye on him and see where he's going to cycle out. Maybe, I say, might be trying to do that short pit strategy in that number 66. We'll kind of wait and see on that. But right now you can see though that 12 car just so deep in the entering the turns here. You can just get into on the brakes so much more aggressively, it seems like. And it's, I mean, it's been working for him. He hasn't been really dropping the pace. I thought he'd fall off, honestly, with as aggressive as he's been driving it. But he's been making it work for him. I was saying that 12 still here, you can see just giving that 17 here all he can handle right now as they enter turn number 1. It's a great battle up front here for these top 5 positions, top 6 positions, again, all within just over a second right now. And it seems like Robbie definitely has a good entry into 3, maybe a little bit better than the 17 car. But then it looks like the 17, I think, has a better 1 and 2 than the 12. So I think that's kind of where they're leveling out here. But you can see Robbie actually gets a nice kind of an over-under move here. I think he's going to just get to the inside of that 17 as they come out of turn number 4. So we're going to have a battle for lead here with 37 to go. We just crossed the halfway point in the race. So right now you got a battle for lead between that 17 and the 12 as they enter turn number 1. So you can see 12 had the inner shallow, which just is going to have the momentum on the entry, but we'll see if Chad's able to get the momentum on the exit and fight back for this lead here. And there comes that top side momentum for the 17 car as they go down the back. You can see him just starting to nose a little bit forward here, but we'll see again. We saw how aggressive the 12 was on entry. And you can see again, he's able to get down in the brakes just a little bit more aggressive. Oh, close between the 17 and the 12, entering 3 and 4. 17's washing up, has to make sure he doesn't contact the wall, just keeps it off of it. That's going to move Robbie Richards into the lead. Now he's going to have to Chad's going to have to try to fight off the 81 here of Todd Merkel for that second position. But it looks like Todd's going to grab it there before they enter turn number 1 here. I'm saying actually Todd's wasting no time. He's going back after lead now. He's right on the back bumper of that number 12 of Robbie Richards. This is now for the. But it looks like again Robbie able to just hold on to him for the moment. Again, looking at the lap window, say that pit window splitting in half is going to be opening here in just another lap or so. No takers yet. We're going to come across the line here for 35 to go. And again, I'll say this is actually going to be lap number 35 on their fuel run here since their last pit stop. So I think the window's just going to be open here in another lap or so with these leaders. So we'll keep an eye on that. But saying right now, Mike Morrison in that number 66. Actually, as I mentioned, that Ted Decker Jr. in the 79, he's hitting the pits now. But yeah, I want to mention Mike Morrison right now showing 1 lap down. However, was the fastest car on track the last time around with those fresh tires. You can see a little bit of cloud cover here, so that's going to cool the track off a little bit. And I think I see, yep. Oh, nope, I thought Todd Merkel was going to pit. Looks like he decided against it, that or just maybe didn't hit the line he was looking for. The way that car was looking there, entering turn number 3 and 4, it looked like he was for sure going to make a pit stop there. But he stays out still. And you can see, though, that 12 Robbie Richards has a really good run here. He's able to stretch it out to just about half a second. But you can see Todd Merkel trying to close that gap back down. And it looks like the 76 of Jim Brooks, he's hitting the pits here. Again, that's that split strategy here. Going to split the runs here in half. So far we've seen the 66, the 79, and the 76 all taking advantage of that strategy. So we'll keep an eye and see how they all cycle through. But right now our leader's still staying out here. We'll see if anybody is going to duck in this time around. But it looks like, nope, they all stay out here. And you can see 17 and Chad Wilkes able to sneak underneath the 81 of Todd Merkel. Again, that's going to be a battle for second position, because while they do this, though, that 12, Robbie Richards, he's starting to sneak away a little bit in that number 12, Roy Wheeler Designs Monte Carlo. Chad Wilkes does get around the 81 of Todd Merkel now, grabs that second spot back. Again, though, you see the 81, though, he's right there with him, also bringing along the 3 of Michael Spell, James Ledford right there. Saying still just hanging on is that number 11 of Quabi Brooks. Again, he took those 2 tires along with the 3 of Michael Spell, so they've done a great job But oh wow, it didn't take long at all. Here comes Chad Wilkes all over the back bumper of that number 12 of Robbie Richards. So we have another battle here going for the lead, and I see that there goes the 11 Quabi Brooks. He's going to hit the pits this time around, so he's going to be the first of our leaders to make a pit stop under green. We'll see if anybody's going to react to that, because again, we talked about just the speed difference of these new tires versus the old tires. I'm going to watch some of the lap times of those that made those pit stops that last time around to see where they compare. Say right now at 76, Jim Brooks is right now just going on his first fast lap with those fresh tires. So next time around we should be able to get a number. But again, you see a really good battle here going on between that 12 and the 17 for the lead here. Let's see. Yep, here we go. We got a lot of drivers pitting. Looks like the whole top 5 other than 17 and Chad Wilkes. He's going to have to go for a quick lap here on entry. So you see the 12 is in, the 81, the 3, and the 48. So I think they saw that 11 pin. They had to react, so they went after it. Chad Wilkes, so he's going to have to go one more lap than these guys. So we'll see if that's going to play a role in where he cycles through. So he's going to have to be doing that qualifying lap here on this lap. And then if he pits that next time around, definitely going to have to be aggressive on that pit entry. So we'll keep an eye on him. But right now, so again, watching lap times and seeing where everybody's cycling through here. Let's say that those in and out laps are going to be extremely critical here for these leaders. Actually, let's jump back over to our race leader. It looks like Chad's going to come into the pits. You can see he's definitely hustling the car in there. Now he's got to get it down to speed before the line. You can see he locks it down. I think he'll just get it done there. And I believe you can see the leaders all heading out of the pits. Looks like Todd Merkel's going to win the fight out of the pits. But now it's going to be getting up to speed and see if they can hold off that 11 who's short pitted there by a lap of the number 11 of Quabi Brooks. So we'll wait as he comes around here through 1 and 2. And it looks like, I feel like these guys may have done the pit stop they needed there to be able to cycle through back to the lead. But you can see they're all going to bundle up right back together here as they come through the backstretch. So right now you can see there's the 81, the 12, the 3. Here comes that 11, and then the 48 not too far behind. And the other one that's closed the gap is that 76 of Jim Brooks. He's not too far off the pack here as well. So now let's watch that 17 of Chad Wilkes. He's going to drop the jack and away. Now let's see how he's able to cycle through with these leaders after their pit stop. Alright, here comes Chad Wilkes coming out of 4. Now the question is, does the 81 of Todd Merkel have enough momentum? I don't think he's going to have enough. Looks like Chad Wilkes is just going to hang on to the lead here. So looks like, again, so yeah, I think Chad did exactly what he needed there to grab the lead and hang on to it there. So that 17 keep him out in front. But again, though, you can see everybody had some pretty good pit stops there. You see Todd Merkel right behind him in the 81. He's still right in the mix in that draft. Along with the 12 of Robbie Richards. And then they've been able to gap a little bit the next group with that 11 of Quabi Brooks and the 3 of Michael Spell. And say a similar deal there for the 48 of James Ledford. So right now those are our lead lap drivers here. And it looks like that, as you see the 3 is in the wall there off of 2. So he's going to definitely have some right side damage to that machine. We'll take a look as he enters turn number 3 and how bad it is. As you can see, actually gets high again here through 3. I think he's trying to let that 48 go on by. But yeah, that 3 car definitely going to be in a little bit of bad shape here. And you can see, not too terrible, but definitely a little bit pancaked there. You can see Chad Wilkes, I think he's going to try to break this draft here. You can see he puts on his fastest lap of the race, about 0.2 of a second quicker than that second and third place machines behind him. Right now he ran a 43.6. The rest of the field there in that group pretty much ran 43.8s. So yeah, right now they're doing what they need to. So if I'm Robbie, if I'm Todd here, I try to work together if you can. I think if you fight each other here, that's going to let that 17 get away. So we'll see as they come through 3 and 4, and it looks like they're kind of right now arguing over who wants to lead this chase, if you will. But it looks like at the line it's going to be Robbie, but we'll see if he's able to complete this pass here going into turn number 1. Yeah, it looks like Robbie's going to get it done, but oh, he got in too deep. That's going to let Todd here go for the over-under. And again, this is just letting that 17 sneak away that little bit. You can see now it's up to 1.3 seconds. It'll probably be 1.5 by the time he gets back to the start-finish line. Say this fighting going, as I say that, they're going to almost contact between the two of them. That would have changed things there. But say this fighting between the two of them is just letting that 17 get away, so they got to get this sorted. And it's actually going to be more than 1.5. You can see there at the line, it's going to be actually, looks like about 1.7 seconds. So again, these two need to get this settled out quickly, because otherwise that 17 is just going to kind of ride off into the sunset here at Auto Club Speedway. It looks like this time around Todd is able to grab the spot. Again, we'll keep an eye on this battle, because right now this is definitely the closest battle on track. I say it's obviously an important one too, because if they can work together and try to close that gap back down to that 17, but I think, again, like I mentioned, at 17, I think his goal now is just to try to break the draft and just be able to kind of make them have to fight it out with each other for that second position, because that last time around he was about 0.7 of a second quicker than these guys. This time around at the line, about 0.2 of a second quicker. So you can see it's almost a 2-second lead now for that 17 over that 81 and the 12. See that third place driver, Quabi Brooks, he's starting to creep into the picture. He ran about similar laps as second and third, but still not enough to compete with that number 17 of Chad Wilkes. I'll say Chad just be able to stretch it right now on the field. So we'll say we'll keep. So I'm just going to try to keep an eye on the lap times as they go and see how everybody's doing on the interval side of things. But right now that 17 I think is definitely in a good spot to be able to try to make it here. And again, still a lot of time to go. 24 laps remaining in the race. Everybody can make. I believe pretty much everybody can make it to the end. The first driver that pitted, Mike Morrison, might be a little bit tight. But I'm going to guess he pitted there once his window just opened up, though, in that number 66 machine there. So a little further back, you can see actually it looks like that 3 Michael Spell got back around the 48 of James Ledford. Then not too far behind them is that 76 of Jim Brooks. Jim pitted about 3 laps before them, so he's going to have slightly older tires. But again, he's done a pretty good job of closing that gap from where he was up to this group here. So he's definitely trying to get everything he can out of it. And I believe now our 2-car battle here for second is now going to become a 3-car battle here, as sure enough here comes that number 11. And actually the 11 car was the fastest car on track by about 2 to 3 tenths of a second. And saying actually the second place group as well was about a 1/10 of a second quicker than that 17 of Chad Wilkes. So we'll see maybe if Chad was maybe abused the stuff a little bit too early trying to build that gap. We'll see if these guys can chase him back down over the course of these remaining 23 laps. As I say that, Chad puts a lap quicker than those second and third place drivers behind him, a 44.333 to their 5s. However, Quabi Brooks on the 11, he ran a 44.258, so he was about a 10th quicker. The problem, though, for that 11 car is he's going to have to try to figure out a way to get around these 2 cars and also try to minimize track position or time loss trying to make these passes. So I say he's going to be hard-pressed to do that and be able to still try to contend and chase down that 17 car. So I think that 17 definitely wasn't showing us his full hand until after those pit stops were settled there. So I think this is probably going to be the main battle here for the remainder of this race for who's going to get that second, third, and fourth positions. But you never know. That's why we watch. It's why they race. Because as I say, things can always change in an instant here. James Ledford, Michael Spell, Jim Brooks, they're still running all right together. So again, Jim's just slowly starting to creep in on this battle here for that spot. I'll say he's just about a second out or so from them. Then a little further back from them, you've got the 36 of Art Peck in that 8th position, just kind of right now cruising on his own. So he pitted on that same lap as Chad Wilkes, so he's got slightly fresher tires than those in front of him. And then again, we talked about that 66 Mike Morrison there, short pitting there pretty early. Again, I think he'll be able to make it to the end, but it also looks like he's got a little bit, actually looks like the 36 as well. They've got a little bit of right front damage to their machine, so some contact with the outside wall. And then right now, last car on the lead lap is that 79 of Ted Decker Jr. Say Ted as well pitted there around the same lap as the 76 of Jim Brooks. So that is our top 10 right now here at Auto Club Speedway. So we're going to jump back to this battle here for the second and third, fourth positions. And you can see that 12 of Robbie Richards again all over the back of the 81 of Todd Merkel. That gap with the leader is about 2.1 seconds. I think Chad's is trying to manage the gap, I feel like, right now in that 17. Again, like I mentioned, when these guys just keep fighting like they are, I think it's just going to make life that much easier for him. So we'll see if they get this settled out here early on, because if they can get it figured out, again, if they can try to work together here and see if they can close the gap. But again, I think it's going to be hard sailing. But here comes that 12. As he loses momentum on the exit. Here comes the 11 of Quabi Brooks. So say, oh, it looks like Quabi decided better than to try to go that 3 wide down the back. So he backs out of it. But again, that 81 of 12 here, they still stay in this big battle here for the second position. So I'm going to go out on a limb and say they probably lost a fair bit of time to leader that last time around. And I would, yeah, they lost about half a second there to Chad Wilkes. You can see now it's a 2.6 second lead instead of that 2 to 2.1 range. So say that's what's been happening, is every time they battle, they lose about half a second or so to Chad. Again, it's just I feel like they both want to be the one to try to lead the charge. They both probably feel like they're faster up front, and that's what's biting them right now. Alright, so we have 18 to go this time around. I think it's going to be actually 17 to go now. Again, Chad Wilkes still leading the way. Yes, I haven't been showing them too much. Here is our race leader in that number 17 machine. Say started on pole and is right now on pace definitely to try to grab another win here in the Area 51 87 Cup Series. Like I say, still got 17 laps to go. And we'll see again if this battle sorts itself out between the 81, the 12, and the 11. We'll see who's able to maybe find their way, if they can close that gap. But again, I feel like that 2.5 second gap, I think he's just kind of managing his stuff right now, and that way he'll have a little bit left in the tank should he need it towards the end of this run. And it looks like business picking up as well just behind them with James Ledford, Jim Brooks, and Michael Spell. You see Jim's been able to get around that 48 of of James Ledford. Now Jim's working on that 3 of Michael Spell, trying to grab the 5th position away. Looks like he's going to go underneath, entering turn number 1. He's going to try to get it down to that white line, see if he can kind of run the short way around. And then he's got to try to get that power down to clear him, otherwise that momentum is going to bring the 3 back. But it looks like Jim is going to complete the pass, so move that 76 car now back up into the top 5. Alright, at the line we have 15 to go. Again, right now, still this battle for that second position between the 81, the 12, and the 11. Definitely one of the more aggressive battles on track right now. Say both want to have the spot, and both have been fighting hard to have it. But again, though, I feel like they've just been doing what they need to. But although, I must say, though, they've been closing the gap a little bit here. You see it's down to 1.7 seconds from the 2.5 that it was not too long ago. So we'll keep an eye on the intervals again and see how they look. So I'm going to take a look. Yeah, 17 still looks nice and clean there, so that car's in good shape. But again, you never say never with these guys. I'm saying you can see they still just, both of them want to be the one leading this fight. So again, I feel like the more they do this, the harder chance they're giving each other to try to make this close that gap to our leader in that 17. Looks like Robbie gonna grab the spot out of turn number 2. So now we'll see if Robbie's able to hold. Looks like this time he's able to clear the 81 pretty decently. So we'll see if Robbie's able to now make a charge and try to see what he can do with that clean air. As you can see, though, the 81 and Todd Merkel definitely, I don't think is going to make it easy on him. But we'll see. I'll say we'll watch the lap times. I think the next time around, that way they both have a clean lap, and we'll watch those lap times between that 12 and the 17. Because again, we saw Robbie was pretty quick on that later in the run, but right now lap times were pretty even between them, about a tenth of a second difference. But of course, that included the pass that the 81, or sorry, the 12 had to do to get around the 81. So we'll see what the lap times look like this time by. So the other thing is that 17 of Chad Wilkes, he's going to be coming up on some traffic here. You see that 79 of Ted Decker Jr. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Ted just once he gets there to go ahead and move out of his way. But again, it's just one more thing that Chad's going to have to kind of keep abreast of and make sure that he doesn't make any mistakes. And also with that draft, maybe gets him a little bit faster entering the turns than he might be expecting. So we have 12 to go at the line. And lap times, again, pretty consistent. Just a half a tenth difference between the two of them. Advantage still goes to Chad Wilkes. You can see that gap back to that 12 seconds. Or sorry, 2 seconds, I should say. Apologies. But again, you can see it's really whoever gets the lead, that car in third just gets right back on the back bumper and just puts so much pressure on them. I think it's just difficult for any of these drivers really to hit a rhythm here as they fight now for that second position. You see Todd look to the inside, didn't have a run to make it happen. And saying up front, you see Chad starting to close down on that 79 of Ted Decker Jr. And sure, actually, I see the 11 car spins off of 4. He's going to keep it off. No, he's going to attack the inside wall just a little bit, but he's going to be off track surface. So I think he's going to get away with it here. You see he's trying to keep it pinned down to the track, not to bring out a yellow. So that's going to cost Quabi, unfortunately, some spots there. I think he just got loose off of 4. Let's go take a quick look at that here. So 11 comes out of turn number 4. Oh, actually makes contact with the outside wall and just throws the car across the track. So actually it definitely was not a loose condition there, just caught the wall, and that's what popped him into the outside wall there. You can see he's back up and going, but has lost a ton of positions here. He's fallen back to, it looks like, the 9th position, I believe, right in front of the 66 here of Art Peck. Or sorry, behind the 66 of Mike Morrison, right in front of the 79 of Ted Decker Jr. I say who's still right behind that 17. My iRacing just disappeared on me. Let me try to get that back in just a moment. Apologies. Again, my apologies. iRacing just completely disappeared on me, so I'm trying to get back in as quick as possible. Right now, I'm still waiting for it to let me in the server. Alright, I'm rejoining the session right now. Again, apologies for this. I'm not sure what happened there. Alright, so I think we've got everything back, so let's try to go. I'm going to get everything back up and running on my end. Alright, again, sorry about that. It looks like we are back here. So again, still showing our race leader is that number 17 of Chad Wilkes. Chad right now here coming through 3 and 4 is going to come to the white, or sorry, come to the 5 to go, not the white flag. So saying you can see the gap between himself and those cars behind him. Looks like it's about 2.5 seconds. So I'm saying it looks like they have not given up their fight between the two of them. So right now advantage is definitely with 81 of Todd Merkel, but and so we've seen them kind of give and take those track positions here pretty frequently here. So let's say you can see our right now we got the top 10 right now. Still again Chad Wilkes leading the way, Todd Merkel there in second. Then you've got Robbie Richards third right behind him. Jim Brooks now up into fourth. And then you got James Ledford, Michael Spell, Art Peck, and then Quabi Brooks right now the last car on the lead lap. Again, he had that earlier incident off of the wall before our technical difficulties, and so that's where things stand at the moment. Chad Wilkes though still leading the way. He is at the 4 to go mark this time around. But again, that battle here, they're not, let's say this is by far, let's say these two have been pretty much battling since the first, or since that green flag pit stop. So I have a feeling these two might want to, might need a little bit of time away from each other after this race, because they've been fighting really aggressively. I'm sure they've been having a little bit of fun, but there's probably a little bit of frustration as well with them fighting as hard as they were, trying to be that one and try to chase that leader of Chad Wilkes down. But as we have 3 to go for our race leader in that 17 car, as you just got to keep it clean here to the end. And saying he'll be able to collect another victory. As you can see the distance there between himself and those cars behind. Then a little further back, that 76 of Jim Brooks still trying to hang on to that spot in fourth over the 48 of James Ledford in fifth. But they've been able to dispatch that number 3 of Michael Spell there as they go into the backstretch here. Actually, I see the 36. Oh, 36 there. I believe he made contact with the wall. He's able to get it back into the pits there and not bring out a yellow. Let's go and see what happened to Art here. That probably definitely made that our race leader there a little bit nervous though. And so you can see it looks like Art does the exact same thing as Quabi there. Caught the outside wall, just throws him down into the infield. And so you can see actually pretty much near identical incidents as the himself and the 11 car. So he's going to duck it back out into the pit lane. Decide not to bring out a yellow there. Saying that's definitely what that 17 and Chad Wilkes wanted to see, because he's going to come around here. He's going to pick up the 1 to go white flag here at Auto Club Speedway. Say Chad Wilkes just got to complete one more time around. He will be able to pick up one more victory here in the Area 51 Racing League 87 Cup Series. I say behind him though, these two again, they have not given up. These are going to be, I'm sure they're going to fight to the bitter end. I think we're going to see a big move probably by the 12 entering turn number 3 and 4. So we'll keep an eye on that as well. So if I had split screens, I would do it, but unfortunately I don't have the ability of doing a side-by-side. So we'll watch 17 as he enters turn 3. We'll jump back here as they come through. And you can see Robbie Richards here sends it deep under, try to see if he can get underneath Todd Merkel. Looks like Todd's going to hang on to it. So coming out of 4 though, here comes our race winner, that number 17 of Chad Wilkes, going to get the win here at Auto Club Speedway. Then fight for that second position, it looks like is going to go to Todd Merkel. He's going to grab second over Robbie Richards for third. And then right there in 4th position, you see Jim Brooks in that 76 car. James Ledford brings it home in 5th. And then looks like Michael Spell going to bring that car around in the 6th position. And then say a little further back, say just a couple drivers need to finish up their final laps here. So that's going to move Quabi Brooks into that 7th position. And I believe it's going to be Mike Morrison, Ted Decker Jr., and then Art Peck as our final results for this evening. So again, apologies for the technical difficulties there. Not sure what happened. Glad we got back before the finish though. So that being said though, we've got some interviews to do. So let's go ahead and we'll pull up our top three. We're going to start with that number 12 of Robbie Richards. So let's go and see if we can hunt these drivers down. All right, we're pulling up our third place finisher, the number 12 of Robbie Richards. I'll say pretty much it seemed like after that last pit stop, I'll say you and Todd Merkel just couldn't get away from each other there. I was saying it was just pretty much a battle. It looked like of who wanted to try to lead the chase of to try to chase down that 17 of Chad Wilkes. But as I say, you two definitely were giving in your all there that last run there.
Yeah, man, that was a whole lot of fun. I would push high, he'd get up under me. He would do the same, and just switching back and forth. And there's a couple of times where it was probably a little close, but yeah, I mean, we both stayed off each other for the most part, and it was a lot of fun.
I'll say one thing I noticed is you were really able to charge the corners in 1 and 3. It seemed like 3 especially, you were able to get in there pretty aggressively, more aggressively I felt like than some drivers around you. I was a little worried that it was going to kind of burn your stuff up, but it seemed like you were actually able to hold really strong with that entry. So was it something you had figured out, or was it just kind of that was your comfort zone entering the turns, maybe compared to some of those other drivers here?
Yeah, I raced here last night in the Cup cars, and I figured out that if you let off before the turn a pretty good bit after the tires are wore, you can hold that bottom line pretty good, and it after the tires are wore, it doesn't seem to wear them out as bad. So I pretty much use the same method tonight, and it worked out pretty good, especially with with 3 and 4. You could hug that white line, and you can get a pretty good run off of 4. But 1 and 2, you have to be careful not to hit the white line or to shoot you towards the wall. So with running last night, it definitely helped out on how to actually keep the car at the bottom, even though you have worn out tires. It was just I used the same method last night, and it worked out. Even though these cars are way more heavier, it seemed to work out pretty good with it.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good way to kind of learn and say, even if it's a different car, kind of learn kind of what the track, what works there at the track, and say, and obviously able to make it work there tonight, grabbing that third place run. So, like I said, it was a great fight between you and Todd there at the end. To say just that whole last run, like I said, it was a lot of fun to watch there. So, great run though here for you tonight, Robbie, and definitely want to give you an opportunity for any thanks and shouts you'd like to give for that run tonight.
Again, thank all the admins here, Charles, Jim, Michael, James, and all of them. Thank you guys for putting on a broadcast. I know the car count for this series is fairly low, but I'm sure there's stuff in the making to get the Wednesday night's car count back up. But other than that, man, it was a great race. It's fun battling with Todd. I feel like if I since I pitted sooner, I probably would have got in front of Chad, but it didn't work out that way. And I think if I got in front of him, it'd been a battle between the three of us. But it didn't work out that way. But hats off to all these guys. We ran one caution, so it was a pretty fun race.
Yeah, you guys did a great job. So again, congrats on that third place. You said you definitely gave it your all there. It was a lot of fun to watch. So say enjoyed that finish and say look forward to catching you again here soon.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, so now we got to pull up our second place finisher in that number 81 machine. So let's go and get him lined up here. So as Todd Merkel. Todd Merkel there started in the third position, brought it all the way home into second. And say I was mentioning to Robbie there, say you and him, I say that last run, I say pretty much right after that pit stop, it was just kind of who was going to have the edge over who through that run. And so it looked like both of you kind of wanted to lead the chase over Chad Wilkes, but so you guys were fighting tooth and nail there that run. Those were really fun one to watch.
That was a great time racing with Robbie Richards. He and I were really evenly matched. And like, if I didn't have a really good corner, sure enough, he'd have his nose under me or he'd be around the outside. And I think the opposite was true too. I'd see him just slip up a little bit in the corner and I could scoot right under him. That was really enjoyable. And, Chad Wilkes, he is the best. I mean, the guy is in a league of his own out there. So, having a runner-up to Chad, I feel like I won tonight.
No, I mean, like you said, I mean, that was a really good run. I think if I remember right, for Chad, pretty much all but one race that he's entered in this series, he's been able to win. So I think just these cars and him work really well together. So I say he was able to show that again tonight. But yeah, I mean, like you said, though, a really good run for you in contention that whole way. That first run, I say you were battling there for the lead with Chad, with Robbie. It was a really fun fight to watch you guys all up front, kind of mixing it up. And then just like saying, then get that long green flag run, get the green flag pit stops as well, and so it looked like everybody did their job. I say again, these cars, I mean, you can probably attest to it. Like they like to be able to get on and off pit road without any speeding penalties, anything like that. I mean that it's a lot to do with these cars because they don't want to slow down very well. So I mean, I'm sure that was also kind of a handful for you guys to kind of be one more thing to worry about tonight.
No, they are definitely a handful getting into pit road. And something I always try to do in practice is get the tires good and worn and see what that's going to be like getting down pit road. Because once you put 35 laps or something on these tires, they really get tricky to get woed up before you get to the cones.
Yeah, so I think that's a perfect thing for anybody that's maybe interested in running these cars or just in general, is to have those things to practice. Because again, if you don't have it practiced, you don't know what your braking points are going to be. Or like you said, if you do a brand new tires, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, I can stop here, and then once you're on 35 lap old tires, you're going to be going 100 miles an hour once you hit that pit cone. So that's a really good strategy, and so hopefully some people learn from that suggestion as well.
But yeah, generally speaking, it was just a very enjoyable race. I really, really had a good time running with Robbie there, all those laps. And yeah, I look forward to coming back and running another one.
Yeah, I'll say it's a great run. And saying that being said, though, before I can let you go, I definitely got to give you an opportunity for any thanks shouts you like to give for sponsors and anybody watching, things of that nature.
All right. As always, I want to thank my buddies out in California at Ross Pistons. They helped me out tremendously on the real race car. Liberty's Gears hooking me up with some good stick shift transmission things. Driven Oil. It's some of the greatest oil there is. And of course, I want to thank you guys at Green White Checkered TV and the organization at Area 51 iRacing. We're just having a wonderful time out here. I'm looking forward to getting the next season started here pretty soon too.
Yeah, like I said, only 2 more weeks to go after this. Is kind of crazy. It's already almost that far through season 5. But yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it myself as well. So hopefully be able to try to hop on track with you a little more as well. So, but yeah, I'd say it's always a pleasure to be able to have a chat with you, Todd. I'd say again, great run tonight. Getting that second place finish. I don't think you're too far away from getting that winner's interview here.
Now I'll eventually pick up a win one way or another.
All right, well, congrats, Todd. A good run again. Look forward to chatting with you here again soon.
Thanks. Have a great night.
All right, with that, we got to pull up our race winner, that number 17 of Chad Wilkes. Say, Chad, they're in that battle for the lead there for that first run. And I said, I have a sinking feeling you kind of released the sandbags there. I think they were able to pull those sandbags out of your car after that pit stop, because once you had your last pit stop there, you kind of set sail. I think it kind of looked like you were trying to build that gap so you couldn't get the draft on you. But I say once you got that clean air and everything like that, you were going to be a tough one to catch.
Yeah, on the last run, I came out. They pitted a lap before me, so I didn't know. I'm pretty good I didn't get to practice getting in and out of pit road. I only had like one practice lap. But I'm generally pretty good at it. I race so many road course stuff. I'm pretty good at getting in on the break. So I knew I could probably get in faster than them, but I knew that they were going to have a lap on those fresh tires. So I didn't really know where we were going to come out, but I was going to run it dry. But I ended up coming out in front of them. I think I was probably half a second maybe, and Yeah, I just wanted to go ahead and get it. I think somebody told me that iRacing the draft or the tow works up to like 2 seconds or something. I don't know how true that is, but I just was like, well, I'll just hit it and make sure. And so I, just got it up to over 2 seconds, and then yeah, from there I just saved tires and didn't make any mistakes, whatever.
Yeah, so that's kind of what it looked like too. I was say when I was watching you, I say it looked like I said, you put a couple of really quick laps in it to build that gap up, and then from there it looked like it kind of seemed like you were just kind of managing the gap. And so you missed I don't know if you're able to see it in your mirror there, but it was a really good fight though between Todd Merkel and Robbie Richards that whole run. They were pretty much side by side. Feels like the whole run. One might overdrive the turn one way, and then the other one would get underneath, and so they were going after. They're trying to chase you down. So I say I don't know if they could have locked on together and kind of drafted, if you will. I don't know if they could have done anything to bring it closer to you. But like I said, I feel like you kind of had things under control once you got that pit gap there, or got the gap, I should say, after the pit stops. So I'm saying again, we've seen time and time and again. I mean, when you can make these races, you are definitely one to kind of the one to beat. It seems like with these cars.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, them battling definitely. I mean, I couldn't see it, but I was watching the relative the whole time because obviously I was just marking it to make sure I could stay above 2 seconds. And it got there one time where I think I let it get down to like a second and a half. I was like, oh, I got to go. But yeah, I mean, them battling. I was watching the relative, and definitely, yeah, I could definitely tell they were going back and forth, and it was making it easier on me for sure. I mean, the first run was really weird. Like I knew I mean, I was kind of playing around with it to see exactly what I just didn't really understand, like, what was happening with the tires. Like, I usually have a pretty good feel for, like, what's going to happen, like, how hard I need to run. But the first time, like, I didn't know if I was saving. I didn't know if other people were pushing. Like, I really had no feel. So a couple times I'd, like, go up and then I'd drop back to try to just kinda see where everybody else's tires were and then come back up and that kinda thing. But I really wasn't. I mean, I know over one lap I was faster than everybody else, but like I really didn't know if I was that much faster than everybody over a whole fuel run. I mean, I don't really know. So yeah, them sort of battling definitely made it easier. I could kind of relax, but I do think that pretty much over one lap, I think I had it covered.
Yeah, so I was a little surprised by the way that first run went as well. Say we saw a couple drivers take two tires, and say obviously the 11 able to lead a bunch there at the beginning. I kind of figure again just probably a lot of tire savings going on behind him, but then also the three car, he was able to save tires pretty well with his two tires, and he actually then was up fighting with you guys towards the end. And then I was watching Robbie Richards in the 12. He was, I don't know if you noticed on your end, but I mean, he was really aggressive. He could really get it deep on the brakes, especially entering turn three. And I was like, oh, I kind of was worried that he was going to burn his stuff up doing that. But he held in there the whole way. And I was in the same way. I was like, man, I really thought that was going to kind of burn the tires off of that car. But it seemed like it definitely was a little different on the tire front than previous races we've seen it before.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it was definitely weird. I mean, at the end of that first run, I dropped back uh, once. Like I went to go catch 11, and then I was noticing that everybody was behind me, so I was like, I'm not going to be the one to catch them. Like I'll drop back. So I dropped all the way back to like fifth just to try to see if they could catch them. And Todd really wasn't catching them quite as fast as I wanted him to. So I went ahead and went up and passed the 11. And I thought that I'd saved a good bit, but then the 81 and the 12 caught me back pretty, or I mean, I didn't get too far out ahead, but got back up behind me, and so I dropped back again behind Robbie at some point, I think. And I mean, we were right there even. I mean, I could pull back up to him when I wanted to, but I wasn't. I mean, at that point in time, I don't know if I'd saved any more tires than him, and I felt like I'd tried a lot to save tires, so I don't really know if there's something that I was doing or something. I mean, I'm not like a big on tire saving in general, but I generally know if I'm going slower than than I can go, that's usually a pretty good recipe for saving tires. But tonight that wasn't really working because I was going way slower than I could go. And then at the end of the run, I still felt like everybody was even from a tire standpoint. I still might have been a little bit faster, but so yeah, I don't really know. I don't know what the answer is. But it was strange. So yeah, I'm glad I was able to sort of hit pit road and get a gap, so I didn't have to worry about it. But yeah, it was really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, and that just goes to show how important those in and out laps are. Say when I saw you or went that one lap later, then those essays, I think about 4 of them I want to say pitted together. I had a feeling it's like if you can get a really good in and out lap, that's going to be the way to do it. They kind of talked about, of course, like the undercut and overcuts, if you will, for the pit stop strategies. So we saw a little bit of both. The 11 pitted first, then that group of 4, and then you. Like you said, I think you're just able to really nail your entry and exit there, and I think that's when we're able to build the gap, and then from there just kind of hit those couple qualifying laps and look like you're able to kind of set sail there at the end. So again, great run for you, Chad. Great win there. Let's say, if that being said, of course, before I can let you go, definitely got to give you an opportunity for thanks and shouts you'd like to give for getting that win tonight.
Yeah, thanks to the league for putting these on. I haven't been able to get in them a whole lot recently, just with school and football and everything starting back up. So I'm glad I could get in this one tonight. I really like this track, and I like these cars. So yeah, thanks for the league for putting on all these great series. Thanks to you for doing the broadcast. It's always really cool to be able to go back and watch. Thanks to my dad. He really didn't have to crew chief anything for me, where we were talking about basketball and football and everything else. And a long green flag run at California can get dull. I really like the track, but after 90 laps, it can get dull. So we were just talking and hanging out. So yeah, thanks to everybody, and thanks to other drivers. I mean, I'd a whole lot rather have a run where we go 90 laps green, and it maybe be a touch boring at times than have a caution fest. So, good job to all the drivers. These aren't easy cars to drive.
Yeah, I say definitely a handful. Yeah, I mean, you guys did an awesome job again tonight. So I say 2 to go here to finish up the season. So I say I'm well to see where the points fall. I know you've missed a couple. So, but again, with those results you've had in the races you've been in, I say we'll see if you're able to close that gap. But again, though, great run again for you here, Chad. Congrats on the win, and say look forward to chatting with you again here soon.
Thank you, appreciate it.
All right, that's our race winner, that number 17 of Chad Wilkes. Just going to pull up our final results for the evening. As you see, Chad Wilkes getting the win there by about 1.2 seconds over Todd Merkel, just able to hold off Robbie Richards there in that 3rd position. Then you got Jim Brooks just half a second in front of James Ledford, Michael Spell in 6th, Quabi Brooks in 7th, and then you've got Mike Morrison, Ted Decker Jr., and Art Peck rounding out the top 10. So you heard mentioned there of Chad's dad. There's Mitchell Wilkes in the 71. So unfortunately didn't race tonight, but I joined the server, but I didn't get some laps in, but I did the crew chiefing duties for his son, able to help him get the win here this evening. So again, congrats to our top 3, Chad Wilkes, Todd Merkel, and Robbie Richards. Great run for all of them here this evening. So with that, I'll say that completes our race for tonight with the Area 51 Racing League 87 Cup Series at Auto Club Speedway. Definitely want to thank you all for watching here on Green White Checker TV. Tomorrow night we will be back with the Cup cars. I'll say I should be joined in the booth by my esteemed colleague Don Runkle Jr. So definitely looking forward to having him in the booth with me. And we'll say we'll be able to, same thing, we'll have 3 races to go in that race to finish to see who's going to get the title over there. So until tomorrow, if you can, of course, please try to stay home, stay safe, wash your hands. Until tomorrow night, have a good night.